Opening the prison doors for a double murderer. 4 words come to mind. White, rich boy justice.
This is a shocking case of a boy who appeared under the influence of drugs. Unrestrained by police dogs and tased repeatedly, he kept eating his victim. And the twist, he did not have any drugs in his system. Today's case is about an unsuspecting Florida couple who were attacked in a bizarre zombie attack. What provoked such an inhumane attack on this friendly Florida couple? Join us as we evaluate the events that lead to the incident and the aftermath. But before we start, we would like to send our condolences to the people affected by the heinous acts committed by this individual. John Joseph Stevens and his wife, Michelle Karen, were a recently retired couple looking forward to spending the next phase of their lives in peace. In their 20 years of marriage, they were popular in the neighborhood for their friendly and hospitable nature. Their garage was set up like a living room, with a couch and a TV open to all. On August 15th, Michelle was in her garage watching TV while John was out walking the family dog. Never in their wildest dreams would they have imagined the tragedy that was running toward them. Across town in Palm Beach County, Florida, a 19-year-old had been taking classes at Florida State University and was on a fast track to becoming a doctor and nicknamed Happy Boy. Austin Harrouff was truly a gentle giant, standing over 6 feet tall and an active football player since high school. Austin developed a keen interest in bodybuilding as he was growing up. He had a YouTube channel where he would often post random videos as well as health and fitness content. Austin knew he wanted to become a doctor, a profession heavily based on caregiving. Austin's parents, Wade and Mina Harris, were extremely proud of him for completing his first year of school with flying colors. Wade and Mina were divorced, but lived close by for the sake of their kids, and they had done a very good job of co-parenting Austin, as was evident by his impeccable academic records. While Austin was gentle by nature lately, things were getting strange for him. Secretly confided in a journal about lacking social acceptance, which was in sharp contrast to his social media presence on YouTube. He had started taking a wide variety of drugs in college, like acid, mushrooms, and even illegally consuming a prescription drug for attention deficit disorder. Privately struggling with depressive thoughts, Austin documented them in his journal, and by the end of the school year, his internet search history was riddled with questions like, how to deal with obsessive thoughts? Do I need to sleep? And what happens if you don't? I think I'm crazy. What do I do? If only someone had observed Austin's state of mind in the last couple of months leading up to the tragedy, things could have ended differently. In the summer of 2016, Austin returned home in a state of paranoia, and this is when real and rapid downfall began. He moved his bed to the garage of the home and told his family he was being haunted by demons. Unfortunately, the family didn't see this as a red flag. They thought he would snap out of it. When they confronted Austin, he confessed to having been taking various psychedelic stimulants. From that point onward, this became the family's usual reasoning for every odd behavior. Toward the end of summer, with his family's support, Austin was completely off every drug, but he was still very much unhinged. Family of Austin finally decided to utilize the Baker Act. It is when someone suspected of mental illness can be detained for up to 72 hours while undergoing psychiatric evaluations to determine whether they can be a danger to themselves and others. But before the Baker Act could ever be put into action, Austin did something that would forever change his life. Early morning on August 15th, Austin unexpectedly showed up at one of his childhood best friend's doors. When the friend answered, he just had one question. What year was I born? Confused, he answered 1996. Naturally, the friend was worried, so he called him back and convinced Austin to spend the day together. They decided to go to the beach with a few friends, including Austin's sister. However, on their way to the beach, Austin excused himself from the group and left to get something from his house. He came back, this time dressed in a large football jersey, long sweatpants, 2 wristwatches, and sunglasses. His attire was not beach appropriate at all, so his friends laughed and joked about his appearance a little bit. However, Austin did not take this friendly banter lightly. He snapped right back and said, "If you tell me I'm crazy, I will kill you." The friends immediately backed off, and his sister tried to calm him down. Out of nowhere, Austin told his sister, "I'm actually a half horse, half human, and I can speak to animals. The beach day was cut short after Austin's odd behavior escalated. Austin told his friends he was in touch with a higher power and that he was destined for greatness. His behavior was so erratic and alarming that his friends eventually decided it was best to head back home. That same evening on August 15th, Austin, his childhood friend and his sister left for Duffy's, a popular restaurant in town where Austin's father, Wade Harris, was waiting with his girlfriend. On this walk to Duffy's, Austin decided to test his immortality by walking directly into the traffic. Fortunately, his sister acted quickly and pulled him back to the sidewalk. She pushed him all the way to the restaurant, making sure he didn't run off again. Once inside the restaurant, the group sat in the far back. Soon after getting seated, Austin gets up to go to the bathroom. However, he seems to have changed his mind as he turns around and leaves the building. After just a minute, he re-enters the restaurant and makes his way back to the table. After sitting down for another 10 minutes, Austin gets up and leaves the restaurant for the second time. Just a few minutes later, Austin's mother heard her front door open. When she came around to see what was going on, she found Austin in her kitchen, chugging half-eaten Parmesan cheese all over the place. Mina tried to reason with him and offered to drive him back to the restaurant once he had changed his clothes. It is unfortunate that even at this point, he was not given the medical attention that he so desperately needed. Austin goes back inside the restaurant and rejoins the group. Everyone seems to be uncomfortable and walking on eggshells around Austin, but his father is upset. It is believed that Wade Harris said, "What the hell is wrong with you?" To which Austin responded very aggressively. He pushed his father's face back against the seat and then gets up and walks out of the restaurant for a third time. This time, his friend followed close behind, but lost track of him shortly. By now, they were afraid of his hostile behavior and believed he might harm himself or somebody else. So Mina Harris called the police.
Police Department, Launch Recorder. Is this Chrissy?
Yes, I don't know how to do this. My son, he's kind of taken off, and I'm concerned about his own safety.
How old is he?
Acting a little strange. 19.
Okay, what do you mean acting strange?
It seems like he's a little delusional, or like he's acting like.
Does he have a history of that or anything?
No, it was with his sister, and he says, you know, he feels immortal and like a superhero. So I don't know what's going on with him.
Do you know if he's been taking any drugs or anything like that?
Nothing. I've asked, and nothing recent.
Right.
That I know of. Yeah.
How long ago was this that he left?
I want to say 10 o'clock. It's not 9:30.
Does he have any weapons that own or anything like that he would have on him or anything? Pocket knife or anything like that?
Yeah, I said he had a pocket knife, like a switchblade type pocket knife. I don't know.
Meanwhile, just 4 miles away, Michelle was chilling on her garage couch, watching TV, waiting for her husband to return from walking the dog. Jeff, her neighbor, waved goodnight as he went to bed early that night. Later in the evening, Jeff was unpleasantly woken up by blood-curdling screams coming from across the street. He looked over from his window and saw a man beating his neighbor Michelle as she cried for help. Jeff quickly ran out and jumped into the scuffle, trying to get Austin off of Michelle.
Being here, because I just knew that she was there from seeing that from over there. He was standing her and basically standing over the top of her at the time. And I was standing kind of like this, and whether I went to block or whatever, that's when he called me there the first time.
Police and medical. Young man beating up a woman across the street.
Okay, are they outside or in a house?
It's in a garage.
Are either of them injured? Can you tell from where you are?
Yes, there's a girl laying on the ground. He beat her up. I ran over there. I'm bleeding profusely here at the moment.
Okay.
I don't know what happened.
Can you tell if she's conscious?
No, it does not appear so, no.
When the sheriff arrived at the scene a little after 9 p.m., he was horrified by what was unfolding right in front of him. Before the responders could even comprehend the situation, they realized that Austin isn't just assaulting John, he was chewing his face.
Here, like I said, was in a full grapple, and the suspect had his neck and head right here on the victim's neck, and he was chewing on his cheek, and I see big rips in it.
The sheriff did everything in his power to kick Austin away from John, but he was unfazed.
I kicked the male probably about 6 or 7 times in the head. Not boot kick, but stomps on his head, trying to get his head off.
Austin seemed to have no idea that he was surrounded by armed police officers. He was solely focused on biting John's face. When he wouldn't let go, the officer proceeded to tase him, but even after 10 seconds, Austin wouldn't budge. The strength Austin displayed was almost inhuman.
Had him, the dog pointed, he said, "I'm gonna release the dog." We're all yelling, "Get off him, get off him."
After multiple attempts, the officer was finally able to time himself, and as soon as the dog pulled Austin's arm, he clasped a handcuff on his hand and dragged him away. It took 2 officers, a taser gun, and a police dog multiple attempts to get the perpetrator off the victim. Once off of John, Austin yelled, "Kill me! I'm eating humans! Kill me! Kill me! I'm eating!" very loudly. After an extensive struggle, the officers managed to restrain him as EMS workers arrived at the scene. 3 days after Austin uploaded his last YouTube video, he savagely attacked and cannibalized 2 complete strangers. This would go down as the most random and bizarre case of a cannibalistic attack in the history of Jupiter, Florida, an attack that claimed the lives of a lovely couple. Once restrained, Austin became unresponsive and was rushed to a hospital where it was determined that he was in multiple organ failure due to ingesting something toxic. The teenager remained in a coma for 11 days following the attack. Several tests revealed Austin had no drugs in his system apart from the ones given to him to save his life in the hospital. After several weeks in the hospital, Austin eventually made a full physical recovery. The motive he was about to disclose for the attack is beyond anybody's wildest imagination. According to Austin, when he exited Duffy's for the 3rd time after arguing with his father, he saw a tall, dark figure with a pale, white face. He instinctively knew that it was evil and started running away from it. That is how he ended up in John and Michelle's neighborhood. When he saw their pleasantly lit garage, he figured he could ask them for help. However, Michelle took him as an intruder and started screaming. This made Austin feel that she was a witch and that he must kill her. Once he was done, Austin believed he was drinking alcohol when he was most likely consuming poisonous chemicals. He then saw a figure with a dog next to him, and after that, his mind went blank. He claimed he had no recollection of attacking Jeff or John, and certainly not of eating John's face. People argue that for someone who doesn't remember anything, these stories sure seem to conveniently come up to evade the life in prison sentence and plead insanity. While he had killed 2 people, Austin's own life was over as well. The once promising, bright young student was now being evaluated for a wide variety of mental illnesses. According to a report by psychologists at the time of the attack, Austin Harrouff believed he was a combination of a dog and a human when he brutally killed John and Michelle, biting one of their faces in Martin County. The report stated that Harrouff was afflicted with severe mental illness, specifically bipolar disorder, acute manic episodes with psychotic features, and clinical lycanthropy delusions, commonly referred to as werewolf syndrome. 6 years later, on the first day of his trial on November 27, 2022, Austin was found not guilty by reason of insanity. He would likely spend his entire life in a mental health facility. John and Michelle's family were outraged, and the verdict was protested.
But yet here we are, opening the prison doors for a double murderer. 4 words come to mind. White, rich, boy, justice.
Yet, mental health disorders continue to be a stigma. Austin Harrouff's parents had been in denial about his mental health for a while. Wade Harris seemed embarrassed by the fact that someone as successful as him could have a mentally ill son. They let their happy boy down because they had no idea how to deal with something like this the correct way. Things could have gone very differently if Austin's parents could have seen his cries for help. What do you think about this case? Who do you think is to blame here? As always, express your opinions in the comments section down below and hit the subscribe button to stay tuned for more true crime cases.